We are already on the record that the winner of Saturday's Indiana-Oregon game is going to play Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship later. Now we're also on the record saying that the winning quarterback in this game will win the Heisman Trophy. Lockdown Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We'll be in the same Big Ten club together, and that will be awesome. And if you could share, like, and follow, that helps us out too. Plus, if you could hype the YouTube video, that helps us out a lot. So today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. So Indiana versus Oregon, Fernando Mendoza versus Dante Moore, Heisman winner right here. Plus, we have new transfer portal rules that affects all of our teams. We'll discuss that, and we'll have our Big Ten Classics going into the weekend. But Indiana at Oregon, it's now the game of the record, a game of record for the Big Ten this year. Not Oregon at Penn State a couple weekends ago, not Ohio State, Michigan in November. Indiana and Oregon, this is it. So you can go back for a second listen, by the way. We did a deep dive into this game 2 days ago here at Lockdown Big Ten. If you want to check out a second listen when we're done here. But we have more here. So in addition to kind of previewing the X's and O's a little bit, there's more to this game. More, as in like Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza. Both quarterbacks in this game are on the Vegas betting shortlist to win the Heisman Trophy as we hit the halfway point of the season. And it is our contention that the Heisman Trophy is on the line Saturday. The winning quarterback here is going to rise to the top of the list. Now, we'll start a case. Just so you could paint a picture for how it is right now, I'm going to list a half a dozen Heisman candidates and what the odds are for them right now. So Miami's Carson Beck, the Georgia transfer. He's got the best odds at plus 500 right now. Look, he's got name recognition. People know him from his days at Georgia. Now he's at Miami, a very high-profile, highly ranked team. So he's got a great shot, and his stats are good, and they're winning football games. The second best odds here are Oregon's Dante Moore. He's at plus 700. We'll talk more about him in just a moment. Third on the list is Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver from Ohio State. He's at plus 800. And so is Ty Simpson, the quarterback at Alabama. Very accurate passer there. Maybe the loss to Florida State hurts him earlier. I don't know. Probably not. He's got a good chance. He's a very accurate passer. John Mateer is in there from Oklahoma. You Michigan fans remember him. He's at minus 1,000 right now. And then all of a sudden he was going to be out for like a month, had a hand injury, needed surgery. Well, guess what? He's coming back. So he missed one game and they had a bye. Now he wants to come back for the Red River rivalry against Texas this weekend. So that would be only one miss. I don't know how effective he's going to be. I'm sure his hand will hurt. But he's going to play that game, and if he beats Texas, he's going to get a lot of attention. It kind of reminds me, I don't know if it was in the hand or the finger, but the situation reminds me of Curtis Rourke at Indiana last year. He hurt his, I think it was his thumb or his finger, and had to have surgery, missed a game, they had a bye, and then he came back. And seems like John Mateer is on that same schedule. But anyway, next on the list, rounding out the top five, is Indiana's quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. He's at minus 1,300. And by the way, Julian Sayin is minus 1,500. So you got two Ohio State guys in the top six. They may split each other. I don't know who gets all the credit. Probably more Jeremiah Smith than Julian Sayin if it came down to that. So let's recircle back here and focus on Oregon's Dante Moore and Indiana's Fernando Mendoza. As we look at them, both of these guys have very interesting personal stories on how they ended up at their respective schools. And those stories will be on full display in front of a national television audience on Saturday. Let's start with Dante Moore at Oregon. Now, he may have an advantage at this point because everybody in the country knows who he is already because he was already on display in a nationally televised game in a hostile environment, as hostile as it gets, during a whiteout at Penn State, and he came out the victor. So he's got that in his column, his win column there. And watching that game, it was clear to me, and I think anybody else who was watching that game, talk about the Oregon-Penn State game, that Dante Moore was the most talented quarterback on the field that night. Not the Nittany Lions quarterback, Drew Aller. Drew Aller, who is the most experienced quarterback in all of Power 4 college football this year, with all the expectations in the world, supposed to win a championship this year. There's talk of Drew Aller being number one pick in the NFL draft, all that. You compare those two quarterbacks last Saturday night, not even close. Dante Moore, the more talented quarterback, the better quarterback. And he is coming, and he's just hitting his stride right now. So Moore's path to Oregon started at UCLA. You Oregon fans know this. UCLA fans know this. He played a lot his freshman year there, and under Chip Kelly, by the way. And then he transferred to Oregon. And he knew when he transferred to Oregon that he was probably going to have to sit a year behind Dylan Gabriel. And that's exactly what happened. And that wasn't bad. Got to learn the system a little bit, build on his experience. You know, it's one thing to watch a guy, but it's another thing to watch a guy knowing that, yeah, I was on the field doing this last year at UCLA. I think it really helps the building blocks there and helped him learn the system at Oregon. And so when this season came along, of course, Gabriel is off to the NFL, starting for the Browns these days. Now, all of a sudden, Dante Moore picks up and he hits the ground running. And, you know, he comes out swinging with an embarrassment of riches for weapons to give the ball to on the ground and through the air. He has completed 75% of his passes already this year. He's thrown for 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, those stats are very similar and in some cases a little better than Carson Beck at Miami. So again, I think the more national exposure that Dante Moore gets, the better off he'll be. Meanwhile, Indiana's Fernando Mendoza, his story. He transferred from Cal, and he was good enough there to get people who know, get their attention a little bit. He did not put up amazing stats. The problem was that Cal team wasn't very good, and that offensive line was really bad. And so Fernando Mendoza spent most of his time just scrambling. But I think people saw something in him, and he was on the hot list. A lot of people wanted him when he entered the transfer portal. I think he was the top quarterback, really. I mean, after Carson Beck had settled at Miami, I think Fernando Mendoza was the most wanted quarterback in the country in the transfer portal, and he ended up going to Indiana because, again, people could see the talent, but I think he noticed what Curt Cignetti did at IU last year, the amazing story, the 11-1 season got everybody's attention, but also in how he developed Curtis Rourke, who was a one-and-done upperclassman there at Indiana. And so the job was open at Indiana this year, and he wanted to be developed like that. He says, I want to go somewhere where I'm going to be developed at quarterback. And so he chose Curt Cignetti and the Indiana staff. Plus, he knew that Indiana had a great offensive line. It was great last year. It's better this year. So he liked that. You know, well, I'm not going to have to run around for my life anymore. I can actually work on being quarterback and develop myself. Plus, his brother was already there. So his brother already signed there as a backup quarterback at Indiana. So it was all in the family, and it was an easy choice for him. So as good as the Dante Moore stats are that we just gave you, Fernando Mendoza's are even a little bit better. His completion percentage and his yardages are almost identical at 73% and 1,200 yards. His touchdown to interception ratio is a little better. It's an eye-popping 16 touchdowns and just 1 interception. It's been phenomenal this year. Plus, he led the Hoosiers to a 63-10 win over 9th-ranked Illinois and, you know, had a gritty road win at Iowa under his belt. So he's got a couple of nice pieces to his resume, as Indiana does. He does too. So if he goes into Autzen Stadium and knocks off Oregon and gives Dan Lanning his first loss ever in the Big Ten, it's going to get a lot of people's attention at that point. And you know, it's already sitting there in the top 5 with when you look at the Vegas odds. He's going to climb that list. If he wins this game, knocks off Dan Lanning, puts up some numbers, and is amazing in front of everybody, he's going to be the favorite when we look at the next list of odds coming out from Vegas for the Heisman Trophy for the most outstanding player in the country. And in addition to that, as I said earlier, I think the winner of this game is going to end up playing Ohio State for the Big Ten championship in December. This game is as big as it gets. It's huge. That's why we're going to go live right after that game. You know, we're here every day, but we go live on the weekends after the big games. So after Indiana, Oregon, that's a 3:30 kickoff Eastern time, 12:30 Pacific. That means we'll go live right after the final winning coach interview on the sideline. It's going to be about 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Your live comments, my live comments, we interact. It's great. Also, side note, we're going to do it twice on Saturday. We're going to go live after the Michigan USC game as well. That'll be later, but we'll come on again, probably about 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific for our second live podcast. 2 live podcasts on Saturday. We can't wait. So we got all that coming up. Side note, Sharon Moore says the Coliseum's all sold out there because Michigan's coming. We're not intimidated. We're not there to take selfies. It's sold out because of us. Lincoln Riley says, man, I'm just ready to play this game. So anyway, your thoughts and comments on the quarterback matchup and the Heisman matchup, Indiana versus Oregon, and how big it is. Hit me up in the comment section. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss an episode. And share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. We always appreciate you visiting there for our past podcasts and also Big Ten school merchandise as well. All right, new transfer portal rules for new transfer portal rules for all of our teams. I got it for you. Plus our Big Ten classics and live action for the weekend. All that coming up in a minute here on Locked On Big Ten. You know, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, you get your crew moving forward with Supply House. I mean, you need supplies or else the work doesn't get done. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 parts, plumbing, HVAC, electrical items, all from trusted brands and businesses. The real-time inventory and the honest lead-up time keeps you from punting on projects, delaying, losing money, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You need parts fast for the project right now. Supply House's next-day delivery. You can talk about a game changer here. Plus, you could join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com and sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5. So SH for Supply House, SH College 5, number 5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. We love watching games because they're exciting. They get more exciting when you join in with FanDuel. Got a little something on the game for the NFL season, for example. You don't want to miss out on the action. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And the app's very easy. Point spreads, game totals, player props, futures, parlays, you name it, all right there. And when you win, quick payback. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. That's at FanDuel.com. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day as well. Hey, hit that free subscribe button, and that way you'll never miss a single episode. And if you could share, follow, and like. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com, where all our podcasts go, plus your Big Ten school merchandise. So one more item on the Indiana-Oregon game I want to get to here. Autzen Stadium's loud, maybe the loudest, considering its size, right? It's incredible. Now, you remember Indiana had a game at Ohio State last year. It was the only game they lost in the regular season, an 11-1 season. They went there, and Curt Cignetti admitted afterward they had some problems with the noise. They did. They did not handle it well. So he said the game they had 2 weekends ago at Kinnick Stadium, it can get pretty loud there too at Iowa. That helped them, and that will help them prepare for the loud crowd at Autzen Stadium. I've never been to Autzen Stadium. It's on my bucket list. But I hear, even though it's like half the size of a lot of stadiums, I hear it's equally as loud. It's like the loudest. It's incredible. So we'll see how he handles that. That's a key, something to look out for this game. All right. Here's something that affects all of our favorite teams. So we have new transfer portal rules effective at the end of this season. So the Division I Administrative Committee voted this week to move the December football transfer portal to January. And they're going to adopt the dates. It's going to be January 2nd. Remember, as soon as the season was over in the past of December, like the last day regular season, or was it the conference championships, you can go on the transfer portal the next day. Now you got to wait till January 2nd. And they'll be open from January 2nd to January 16th for all FBS and FCS players, again, beginning in January 2026. The spring portal that we talked about, that we already got rid of that. That's gone. We are down to one portal period anyway. Now we're just fine-tuning it a little bit. So the new January 15-day period will begin one day after the college football playoff quarterfinals. So players who are still remaining on the remaining two teams that are going to play in the national championship on January 19th, that's when the championship game is. Those players will then get an additional 5-day portal entry period. It'll be from January 20th to the 24th. So they don't get gypped on this deal. They can continue working on playing football. And then when the season's over, if they win a championship or lose in the championship, then they can go in the portal if that's what they want to do. I presume that part of the plan satisfies the complaints by Ohio State coach Ryan Day a few weeks ago when he asked, how am I supposed to coach a team in the playoffs and then to build a roster as well in the portal? Some people are like, hey, boo-hoo, the rich can't cry. You're we're all trying to catch up to you, Ryan Day, right? But kids who leave other schools, keep in mind this, the kids that leave other schools, they may find their new teams by the time the championship game is over with. So maybe Ryan Day feels like he will miss an opportunity to grab a kid or two, because kids like to make decisions fast sometimes. So remember, these are dates for entering the portal. A player can put his name in the portal, but then he can take as much time as he wants to find a new home. He could put his name in the portal on January 2nd, and he can wait till June if he wants to, just hypothetically. So also, under the old plan, players could leave for 30 days right away if there was a coaching change at any point. Remember back when Mel Tucker was fired in the early part of the season? There were, I think, a handful of Michigan State kids that went in the portal then because they could, because it opened back up. Well, here's how we're going to tweak that. Effective immediately, beginning 5 days after a new coach has been hired or announced, players will then have 15 days to enter the portal if they don't want to hang around. So it's not a 30-day period. It's 5 days after the coaching hire is announced. They got a little more than 2 weeks. They got 15 days to decide where they're going to go. Right now, players at Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, and UCLA, where coaches have already been fired, those athletes are grandfathered in, so they still have their 30-day window that they're in. The previous rule, they could still enter the portal right now as we speak. So, again, UCLA just fired Deshaun Foster a couple of weeks ago. Attorneys are suggesting that lawsuits are going to fly on this deal almost immediately, maybe by the end of this week, claiming that the 15-day portal period, it's too restrictive and it violates antitrust laws. We'll see. We'll see. By the way, did you ever wonder how big the transfer portal gets? So in 2024 to 2025, more than 4,900, almost 5,000 FBS kids and another 3,200 FCS athletes entered the transfer portal. Everybody's moving all the time. It's incredible. Speaking of Ohio State, just a moment ago, former coach Jim Tressel was at practice with Ryan Day for the Buckeyes, and he commented on the edginess of the players there at Ohio State. And I'm sure Ryan Day took that as a huge compliment as the Buckeyes get ready to take on 17th ranked Illinois this weekend at their place. All right. We always do features at the end of our podcast. Mondays, we do our top 10 Big Ten observations. Mine anyway, from the weekend. I share them with you. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets. Send a tweet to us on X at Talk Big Ten, number 10. I'll put it on Tuesday's program. Wednesdays, we power rank. That's what we did yesterday. 1 through 18. We moved UCLA up. We moved Penn State down a little bit. You can go check it out for a second. Listen after this if you want to see where we put everybody in the rankings. And then Thursdays, we like to look at the Big Ten Network schedule of live programming. They got a triple header this weekend, by the way, and all their Big Ten classics that they have. And on Fridays, tomorrow, we go on the record. Every Big Ten team, every Big Ten game, we make our picks. We make our predictions. We look at the point spreads, the point totals. We boldly make our picks. We don't shy away from it. So we got our Big Ten classics and live action. We'll tell you when you can see what and when and where on the Big Ten Network. All that's coming up here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about Mazda. First class all the way, right? Mazda cars, they're crafted for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety and style and performance, even though that's what they have, to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every single detail. You know, and Mazda does. They hit all these safety awards. They have great details like metallic accents and hand-stitched Napa leather. And they pay attention to details just like athletes pay attention to small details to make big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. I want to tell you about Quo. One of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo. That's Quo, formerly OpenPhone, which you've heard me talk about here. It's the business phone system that you've heard me discuss. They just changed their name. And here's why it matters, because every missed call in your business, that's money left on the table. And when every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications, and it works right through an app on your phone or computer. So no more carrying two phones, personal phone, work phone, relying on a landline, none of that anymore. You'll absolutely love it. It's very easy. So, I mean, whether you're a solo operator, just juggling everything, or if you're part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. So see why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, no problem. Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thanks for checking us out here at Locked On Big Ten. All right, let's take a look at the Big Ten Classics and live action this weekend on the Big Ten Network. Even though we're not affiliated with the Big Ten Network, obviously we have the same interests, so I like to point these things out. I'll go full screen if you're audio. By the way, if you're on Apple or Spotify, that's great. Or if you'd rather listen on audio, we are available on Apple or Spotify. But here we are on YouTube. I'll tell you what we got. Just graphic with the dates. These times are Eastern. And we don't put everything on the Big Ten Network. We just highlight some things I think you'll be interested in. For example, Friday the 10th. All right, we've got a Wisconsin football classic, part of the Big Ten Classics. We'll start you off there. And this is the one they played Iowa at Iowa in 2014. Melvin Gordon led Wisconsin to their 6th straight victory with 200 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns against Iowa. Back in the heyday when Iowa was rolling. Then at 5 o'clock, we have an Iowa football classic. Iowa at Wisconsin. This is from 2009. And after being down at halftime, the 11th-ranked Hawkeyes scored 17 unanswered points in the second half to defeat the Badgers 20-10 at Camp Randall Stadium. All right, let's move on to Saturday and let's get an idea of what's airing live and when. It's a full plate. These times are Eastern. We pick it up at 9 o'clock Eastern a.m., 6 o'clock Pacific. It's one of those Big Ten football in 60 shows where they get all the highlights, literally edit from snap to snap, and get a whole game in 60 minutes. Rutgers at Washington from October. This one, from October of October 2025. Meanwhile, then at 10 o'clock, because here's why I got confused. That's the Friday night game. That's what I was trying to say. This is the Friday night game. And on Saturday, if you missed it, you will be able to watch the highlights the next day. There. Clear as mud. I apologize. Big Ten tailgate. They're going for Michigan State. That's where they're going to be in East Lansing. The Big Ten Network setting you up for your day. And then at 11:30 Eastern, they go into their Big Ten countdown to kickoff, getting you ready with the last-minute details and reports from across the country. Then on to the triple header of the day. So since they're at Michigan State, they're going to broadcast at 12 noon, 9 a.m. Pacific for UCLA, as UCLA plays at Michigan State. So that's going to be early body clock time for both fans and players. UCLA coming off that hot Penn State win. We'll see how they do at Michigan State. I'm as curious as anybody to see how that game goes. At 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, we got Nebraska at Maryland, and then game 3 of the Big Ten Network tripleheader, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Purdue is at Minnesota. And then what else we got? So that wraps it up for what we want to highlight for Saturday. On to Sunday, I always like to point out they have at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, the final drive. Actually, this airs late on Saturdays, right after all the games, and then they replay it throughout the overnight and into Sunday. But if you missed all the action or some of the action and you want to get all the details, the final drive on the Big Ten Network at 10 a.m. Then at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, they start with all their Big Ten football and 60s. You could see all the highlight, every play from the Michigan at USC game. That's a big one. Then at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific, Indiana at Oregon. You want to catch all the snap-by-snap highlights of that game. So those two big games right there. If you missed them, you can get caught up. At 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, the Ohio State-Illinois game in 60 minutes. 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, Northwestern at Penn State. We'll see if Penn State shakes off their last 2 weeks and takes on Northwestern. And then at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, 8 o'clock Pacific, another Big Ten football in 60 with Iowa at Wisconsin. So there you have it. Big Ten classics and live action for the weekend, and for you to enjoy all that. Couple things to tell you. Again, we're going live twice on Saturday. Of course, we'll have our regular podcast tomorrow on Friday, which will be all of our predictions and previews of every game, every team, and then our pigskin picks. Saturday, we're going live. We're going live right after the Indiana and Oregon game, and then we're going to go live again after the Michigan and USC game. So doubleheader for us. We can't wait. Your reaction, my reaction, all in live real time. Can't wait. In the meantime, hit that free subscribe button so you never miss a single episode. And we always appreciate that. And if you could share, follow, and like, because I know if you're watching us or listening to us, you got to be a Big Ten fan. I know that if you're a Big Ten fan, you know other Big Ten fans that might not know we're out here every single day. Let them know. Hit that share. I always appreciate that as well. And another big thing for Locked On college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present the college football kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Trey Toll from Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts as well, previewing every single game out there. And a college football preview that only Locked On could do. Catch the college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. The big weekend is almost upon us. I can't wait. Always appreciate our time here. Join us again tomorrow. I look forward to it. We'll see you then. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.